Yeah, I can't let Mother's Day go by without talking about my mom. My mom, she's been gone about 20 years now. And I can still remember the last Mother's Day that we spent together. I actually went by her house. She wanted to talk to me. And it was like she knew. I was over there putting up her garden for her. I'd actually dug a new garden for her. But she wanted to sit down and talk to me and look at some old albums and things like that. I think she knew that her time was coming near. You know, I knew that my mom and dad, we wouldn't have them for a long time, for like some folks might. I mean, right now they would both be over 100 years old if my mom and dad both were alive. We were all adopted. I was adopted. So I have no regrets. I wouldn't have traded my mom for anybody else. Nothing but gratitude. I have every Mother's Day. I still think about her. You know, all the stories that we have with Thanksgiving, her burning the rolls, every little thing around Christmas time. She had her ways about her. She loved her dogs. She loved her kids. You know, she was when she was one that also got very active in the church. She invited me many times to go to church. And I ended up going with her a few times and talking with her. And she told me so many things. She showed me about faith, but she got into some service work too in the church after my dad passed away. That's a side some people don't know about her. She was working in the soup kitchen, volunteering over at the church. And it's interesting because where her and my dad are buried at, I don't really take a lot of time to go out there and visit them there because I don't really feel close to them out there. I feel close to them around people. I feel close to them around the things that she liked to do. I feel close to them at certain times of the year. You know, she used to burn the rolls at Thanksgiving sometimes, and those are the times that I really like to think about her. You know, if I had to pick one event though that was significant that I'd have to share was, you know, she helped me with something because most people know I went through a time in my life where I was battling alcohol. And there was a time when I was staying at home with her. I was around 30 years old, staying at home with mom. You know, I was pretty much down and out at that time. And I remember talking to her, and I was coming home late one night, and I never will forget it. You know, I came in, snuck in my house, at my back bedroom, and my mom wanted to talk to me that night. I was coming in, I'd been out drinking, and she started to notice some things about me. You know, she wasn't convinced I was an alcoholic, but I sure managed to convince her of some things in the time I lived there, staying back home again. And I remember her calling me to her back room, and she said, Richard, Richard means she's upset, by the way. Ricky means she's good. Richard means she's upset. She goes, Richard, come back here. I said, nah, Mom, I got to go to bed. I'm tired. I'll talk to you tomorrow or something like that. And she said, no, come back here now. I want to talk to you. And she asked me something. She said, where you been? And I looked at her and I said, Mom, I've been out. And she goes, out where? I said, well, you know where I've been. I've been out. Then she asked me something else. She said, you've been drinking, haven't you? I looked at her and I said, yeah, I've been drinking, Mom. Then she asked me a very important question that God put on her heart to ask me that I'll never forget my entire life. She asked, you can't stop, can you? You know, I could lie to myself. I could lie to my wife at the time. I could lie to my job. I could lie to anybody. But I couldn't lie to her. And I looked at her and I said, I couldn't even say anything. I said, no. See, if she would have asked me if I was an alcoholic or anything else, I would have closed up like a trap and tried to tell her, no, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not this. I'm not that. But God himself had to give her the words to ask me where I couldn't close up. I knew I couldn't stop. I quit many times. Stopping was a whole different ball game. And for that, I'm forever grateful. My mom was one of the ones that helped lead me down that path to get sober. I would get sober actually a little bit after that conversation. It took a while, it wasn't immediate. But for that, I'll always be thankful. And you listening up there, Mom, I don't even know if you realized it. But thank God, you know, a lot of stuff stuck. I did eventually get into church. Heck, I've preached in the church. They called me Minister Rick. So, Mom, it worked. All the prayers that you had, it stuck. I even went back and graduated from college after dropping out of high school. Wow. Thank you very much. You and Dad were perfect. And happy Mother's Day in heaven to you both. God bless. Take care.